inculcate that spirit within all the state associations that they need to support, the state governments rather, to support the respective sports in their own states. So without detailing much, I think football Delhi, yes, I agree that Delhi as the capital must be very much on the football scene. You see, if you just go back only 2, 3, 4 years back, before the ISL started, how many clubs we had? The maximum clubs came from Calcutta, Goa, and a few from the Northeast. And there was an odd club here and there from North India. Minus that, there was no clubs. Even Kerala didn't have a club. Tamil Nadu didn't have a club. Andhra, Telangana didn't have a club. Karnataka didn't have a club. Most of the major UP, Bihar still don't have clubs. So if you look at the landscape of India, Rajasthan, Gujarat, so now we are redefining that, and now you have so many more clubs spread across the country. In fact, Delhi I-League club, I'm sure it's going to be a reality in this coming I-League season. We are committed to that. I've made it very clear on many occasions that Delhi must have an I-League club. Delhi not only must have one I-League club, it's big enough, as you rightly said in your opening remarks, that it can have more than one club. So we should all work together hand in hand and develop football in Delhi. It's a capital cup is a good idea. And I think many such old tournaments like Rovers and others which were there historically, of course, because of the busy calendar, or because of the leagues, have been disrupted. But I think we should all work together constructively to build a strong footballing system, ecosystem in the country. So I don't want to go into too much except to say very happy and very proud. And also AFC is also very happy and proud that we have had 2 World Cups in India for the first time. FIFA Under-17 World Cup and the FIFA Women's Under-17 World Cup. I think 2 major FIFA tournaments. And I think this is, people may not really think too much, but I can tell you, to have this age group World Cup coming first to India is the right way to begin, because you are building up footballers from the age of 12, 13, 14, 3, 4 years before the World Cup into the national squad. And Minister, I must tell you that today the women's team is doing exceptionally well. Sunil will also agree on the world stage. The underage teams, both for boys and girls, are doing very well. And they have so much more exposure. I'm sure Sunil would have, if Sunil and in his generation would have had that kind of at younger age exposure, what these kids are getting today, it would have made a big difference to Indian football. But nonetheless, I think this is a good beginning, and these World Cups are actually bringing India into the global arena and the spotlight. And the second thing which I feel is that our like now Tech Mahindra is here. While you support a major FIFA tournament like the World Cup, I think more and more corporates need to support Indian football a little bit more aggressively and meaningfully. Because unless that support comes, I mean, see, AIFF may have one a marketing partner, and therefore we may be able to survive, but we need much more money. We can't just do with this kind of money alone. We need much more money coming into Indian football. Of course, Indian football, 10 years back, Dato would have had only 100 crores in the total footballing, I would say, the financial economic system. But today, Indian football, the ecosystem is worth almost 1,000 crores. So that much more money has come into Indian football. Players are getting better paid than what they used to be paid earlier. So this is also a big change. And I think we need to work very, very closely, aggressively, hand in hand, and to support Indian football. And we need, and as AIFF, I can tell you that we need the support of each and everyone, including the fans, including the spectators, including the the administrators, everybody must think alike, work alike, because this is, as I said earlier, this is not one man or one federation's job alone to build Indian football. Everybody has to work together with that same zeal and enthusiasm. And I once again congratulate Football Delhi for this wonderful interaction. And sorry, I went a little longer into my time, but nonetheless, thank you for this opportunity, and not only for me, but I think for football lovers across India and the world to participate in what's going on in Indian football. Thank you once again, and happy birthday, Sunil, once again.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
Thanks a lot for that, Mr. Patel, for that address that you gave. Just gave us an overview of where Indian football is at the moment and what really needs to be done. Since in your address you mentioned the Asian Football Confederation, I'll turn my attention now to Dato Windsor John, who joins us, who's the General Secretary of the Asian Football Confederation. We'd love to know from you, sir, because at the moment we're getting an insular view of Indian football. We'd love to know from you from the outside. And as Mr. Patel mentioned, that you've always been a big help for Indian football. How is it that you view things from the outside?
Thank you, Nikhil. And it's never easy to speak after Mr. Praful Patel. Anyway, my Honourable Minister, Shri Kiran Rijiju, All India Football Federation President and FIFA Council Member, Mr. Praful Patel, Padma Shri Sunil Chhetri, Mr. Dagjis Mitra from Tech Mahindra, and Football Delhi President Shaji Prabhakaran. Dear participants and friends, a very good morning from Kuala Lumpur. And first of all, my sincere appreciation to Football Delhi for inviting me to this e-summit on transforming Delhi into a vibrant football city. Right, before I begin, let me take the opportunity on behalf of the AFC President and the Asian football family to wish everyone in Delhi and also across India great strength and comfort during this very, very challenging times. I'm sure that the resilience of the Indian people will carry the country through this global crisis, and we together will emerge stronger as a global community. Right, Delhi is well known across the world for its rich history, and the capital itself is known for, as a diverse, dynamic, and a thriving city with an enormous passion for sport. Football, of course, has made incredible progress in India, especially in the last years under the leadership of Mr. Praful Patel. And as the world's second most populous country, we are beginning to see the game take its place as part of the country's social fabric. And in many ways, the rise of Indian football and the foundations that led the way to success can be traced back to Delhi. The first ever Asian Games in 1951, if you remember, staged in Delhi. And we were also in the capital that India won the football gold after beating the Islamic Republic of Iran in the final. And that victory laid the groundwork for India's best ever showing on the Asian ultimate stage, that's the AFC Asian Cup. When they finish, runners-up in the last year. Yeah, and a significant result which is forever etched in the Indian football history. And of course, in 2019, what a great performance by the Indian team led by Sunil Chhetri. Well, as the only city in the world to host both the Asian and the Commonwealth Games, Delhi was also where our Indian legend Sunil Chhetri began his remarkable journey, from the Mamata Modern School and then to City FC, representing Delhi in the Santosh Trophy and eventually leading India on the grandest stage at the AFC Asian Cup last year. Sunil's is testament to the football ecosystem in Delhi, but I guess more needs to be done. And this is a good step forward, And let's not forget the ever-improving ecosystem that saw the city become one of the venues of the FIFA Under-17 World Cup. The first ever FIFA tournament was held in India. The competition, we all know, was a resounding success and applauded by world football. About 1.35 million spectators came together to create history in stadium across the country, which of course included the iconic Jawaharlal Nehru Stadium in Delhi. Right, the engagement both in the stadiums and on social media was a remarkable achievement for an age group FIFA tournament. But above all, it exemplifies the passion for football that exists in India and the enormous promise to further engage with tomorrow's generation of fans. And in just over 6 months, the footballing world will again turn its attention to India for the next FIFA tournament, the FIFA Under-17 Women's World Cup. And while Delhi may not be one of the venues of the tournament, it's another clear indication of the faith in India's capability to host world-class football events. And then, of course, in 2022, the AFC Women's Asian Cup, the pinnacle of women's football on the continent, will return to India for the first time since 1979. But football development, as you know, does not only rely on world-class events and infrastructure alone. Success can only be achieved through the multi-facet approach towards development and also in strengthening the foundations of the game at all levels. And just as timely, the announcement made by AIFF just a few weeks ago, requiring all clubs to invest in women football as part of the national club licensing criteria. And likewise, AIFF was recently recognized as a full member of the highly acclaimed AFC Elite Youth Scheme for its well-established systems and a commendable approach to elite youth development. And adding to this, in February this year, the AIFF was also awarded the AFC Grassroots Charter Bronze membership for their continuous efforts in strengthening the grassroots movements. And the AFC and the AFC president have reiterated several times that Asia is home to the largest stadium, and this is Asia's time. And we have also outlined in our vision our ambitions to confirm football as the #1 sport in the continent. And therefore, there is no denying that India, in particular Delhi, will continue to play a pivotal role in our journey at the AFC in shaping that narrative and in bringing our aspirations to life. And competitions is widely regarded as the key driver to development. So I'm pleased to note that the plans to launch the Capital Cup next year as well. Saji, congratulations on that. And a robust competition calendar will not only continue Delhi's footballing legacy, but also strengthen the vast and ever-improving landscape of Delhi football, and a closer partnership forged across the full spectrum of football stakeholders, facilitated through platforms such as this. The future of football, Indian football, has never been brighter, especially from the eyes of the AFC. And the AFC remains committed towards working closely with the AIFF to raise the standards of football through various presidents' initiatives, development programs, technical programs. So, and Mr. Praful Patel is always a phone call away, and he's always calling to ensure that India gets the best attention, and he has so much of passion to develop football in India. And Shaji, I believe this is your time as well to take advantage, since the headquarters of AIFF is in Delhi, and this is really the time to raise the bar and to ensure Delhi plays a very important role. So before I close, I would like to take this opportunity again, as all of you said, to wish Sunil Chhetri on behalf of the Asian football family a very happy and blessed 36th birthday. I know you don't look 36, but still, we have to wish you for what is in your age in your passport. We have your passport here at the AFC. So, I look forward to engaging with you in the panel discussions later. And I wish all those viewing online as well, an insightful summit. Thank you once again, Saji. Congratulations.
Thanks a lot, Mr. John, for those encouraging words. It does paint a very good picture of Indian football. Things that you just mentioned about hosting those, junior level FIFA tournaments and the kind of interest that was generated in India. Finally, I'll turn my attention now to the Honorable Sports Minister, Mr. Kiran Rijiju. Is not only the sports minister of our country, as Mr. Patel pointed out earlier as well, that he's a big football fan as well. And as Shaji was saying, that one of those sports ministers you've had who has a lot of interest for this particular sport, and he's not just a football fan, he's a big Lionel Messi fan as well, as I've had a conversation with him before, and he mentioned. Mr. Rijiju, it's over to you now.
Thank you very much, and very happy to see all of you. I joined a little late. I was busy with the presentation to be made to the Honorable Prime Minister. But very happy to listen to all of you, and thank you, Shaji, for inviting me to be part of this very important platform, making Delhi a vibrant football city. I think your aim is to bring back that old football glory to Delhi city. I think it's a wonderful effort, and good to see the All India Football Federation President and my senior colleague, Praful Patel ji, and happy to see Vincent John joining far away. I think he's a good friend of India, and he represents the Asian Football Confederation. And then we have Mr. Jagdish Mitra from the Tech Mahindra. And then, of course, the birthday boy, Sunil Chhetri. His happy birthday to you, Sunil.
Thank you so much, sir.
Good to see you. And it is such a wonderful honor to launch this event every day on the birthday of an Indian football captain. I think that is how you pay tribute to the football greats and then promote the sports. This is a good way of promoting the football itself. I think it's a wonderful gesture. And Nikhil Nyas is, of course, a wonderful person who can really contribute so much by his talk, his engagement with the people. I'm happy to be part of this discussion. And of course, I'm sure there may be many people who are joining this session. Greetings to all of you. See, football is something which is universal. There's nothing much I can add to what is football. And when I talk about creating a sporting culture in India, it will not be complete unless we have a great football culture in India. Football culture has to be part and parcel of our effort in making India a great sporting powerhouse. I remember when we were very young, we used to play with those stitched football. We never had this pump football. So since those days, our craze about the football, we used to have that plastic or cotton cloth, whatever, we wrap it and play. And my feet is full of scars, which I used to get hit because by mistake I used to hit the earth and get my skin knock off. So since those days, football has been part of the way we grow up. It's part of our emotion, part of our childhood memories, until now. That is why when we grew up, what is the name we first heard about? Pele. These are the names. See, Pele, Brazil, farthest country, Latin America, the farthest continent from India. No connection physically. If you want to fly to Brazil, Argentina, you have to change flights at least 4 times. So far away. But if you see Pele, Maradona retired how many years back? But they are as relevant to us as it was then. Of course, I have not seen Pele playing only in the videos. Maradona, 1986, 1990, magical star. And now, of course, there are other magical football legends there. It's a beyond country. Football is beyond any geographical barrier. So why not we have that kind of atmosphere in India where we also have that kind of quality footballing. As being mentioned, that we have great football culture in India. We had a very rich history. Some of the legendary Indian players, they were world class, and the stories as it goes. Indians went to the World Cup without shoes, without any kind of a proper training and all. So these are great history which we feel, had we given that kind of platform those days, today Indian football would have been in a different stature, in a different league. But unfortunately, we left that space for something else. We did not build on that great sporting football culture which we had. Right after the independence, India was in the top of Asian football league. And you all know the golden period around late 50s and early 60s. It was known as the golden period of Indian football. So it's not that we have to start today. We just have to revive the old magic. And when we talk about, Prafulji was mentioning about making football financially sustainable, commercially successful. These are so important in today's world. It's very important. And at the same time, if we are able to create a football culture, then money will come. Like if you see Latin Americans, most of the players, they play in Europe because financially they are not very strong. But that doesn't dampen the spirit of football. Colombia may not have a kind of money which they would pay what the Germans pay, or the Brazilian clubs may not be playing as Italian clubs. But that in no way has put down the spirit of football. So the football culture is something which is beyond money. If you can develop a sporting culture, then you bring the talent, the respect, the honor for the game and the players. Now, India has that kind of ready-made, size to become a great football nation. For example, if you see the population of West Bengal, it's just 9.5 crore. See, 9.5 crore is the population of West Bengal, which is bigger than any of the European countries except Russia. Russia is 14 crore, 140 million. So, other than Russia, Germany is 8 crore, UK is 6.5 crore, France 6 crore population, Italy 5.5 crore. Other countries, European countries are all small. Few countries are 1 crore, 2 crore, and rest of the countries are so 40 lakh. Croatia is 40 lakhs population. Northeast India is 4.5 crore, which is equivalent to Argentina. So, if you see even West Bengal as a great sporting culture state, or Kerala 3 crore with a great sporting culture, or Northeast as a whole 4.5 crore population, that alone has the ability to sustain the football culture. That also has the size to give that financial sustainability. My point is, India is of a continental size. Even if we develop a great football culture in Delhi, which is more than 2 crore, if you count the entire national capital territory, it's close to 3 crore population. That itself is a mid-sized country population. And that itself can sustain the Indian football. So the point what I want to drive is, even if we can develop football culture in regional pockets in India, still it has the ability to drive the game. That is the size of India. But what is ailing, or what fails us, it is something different region. Some different reason which I don't want to really talk about because it brings so much of negativity. But I am a person with full of positive outlook and positive feelings all the time. So I have no doubt in my mind that in the days to come, we will have a great situation where Indian football will develop and mature. Now, I think Praful Patelji is doing something very positive to develop football. We have discussed about creating some leagues. So next year, the postponed FIFA Under-17 Women World Cup, which is being rescheduled and the dates are finalized, we will try to build up. The COVID-19 has really spoiled the mood and the spirit, but we will not let it die down. We will ensure that we will build up a right spirit. So maybe after some time, I can discuss with Prafulji and his team, and we will try to create some buzz as the date draws nearer. We will ensure that this Under-17 Women World Cup to be held in India is one of the most successful ever FIFA event. We will ensure that we will work together, and not only the football fraternity. I think the entire country has to stand. We all have to make it sure that it is successful, because it's not every time that we get FIFA events to be held or to be hosted in India. So this is a great honor. I compliment the All India Football Federation for ensuring and engaging with FIFA to bring this important tournament. The last Under-17 the boys tournament, which was held, I played a very big role there as I was in the Home Ministry. So we launched Urja, and we had so many tournaments across India, because the Prime Minister had asked the Home Ministry to organize the football, that spirit within the Central Armed Forces to build up that momentum. And so we could do it. I was very happy, and I was part of many events. And finally, the Under-17 men's FIFA World Cup turned out to be very successful. At the same time, I would also ensure that we need to go deeper into the talent scouting at the grassroots level. That is something which we need to give lots of emphasis into. See, there are various aspects of things, how you develop a particular sport. You can produce great champions to motivate the people of the country, or you create the best system to produce great football players or any great athletes. It can be either way, but it cannot be a fixed rule. In sports, you can't say that you do this and you produce champion. There's no magic. It has to be a combination of so many efforts. So at the higher level, what is required to be done has to be done. And if Indian Football Federation wants to get most expensive football coach in the world to train our football players, I am ready to give financial support. That is not an issue at all. I'm very clear that whatever Sunil Chhetri says, Praful Patelji says, Football Federation says, I, as a sports minister of the country, I will ensure that all supports are given. There will be no shortage of fund, money, anything. But I want to go deeper. So maybe in the next few months' time, because of the COVID, we have been forced to slow down our efforts. But I want to form talent scouting committees to a great professional level. So India is a large country, so we will have to have 4 or 5 committees. One committee cannot go all around. So we will form, along with the All India Football Federation, we will form a committee under the Sports Authority of India, because we will do all the funding and everything under Khelo India scheme. But it has to be led by All India Football Federation. So we will form, say, 5 committees: North India, South India, East India, West India, and Northeast India. Normally, in the government parlance, we normally have 5 committees in India: North, South, East, West, and Northeast, just for the geographical convenience. So that committee, we will have fairly former players, technically sound people, those who understand football, because we have to go deeper. We cannot just go as usual. So with that 5 committees, which I'm planning to form, of course, I will take the names from Football Federation and consult with the experts. Then they will have to go below 12 years of age. if we are thinking about making our presence, deeply felt in the Olympics and World Cup in the future in next 10 to 15 years, then we have to start the effort now. I'm very clear about it because we have to do now. Had it not been COVID, we would have started by now. So this committee will go in addition to existing practice and system, whatever is already there. Because we have to get the raw talent identification at very young age, especially from the potential areas, from the rural areas, from the tribal areas, from Northeast, from the Himalayas, from the villages of Central India, South India, coastal. We have the abundance of talents in India. See, Windsor John had already mentioned that India as the second largest populated country, going to be largest in 3 years time. We will have to be there. The world football being the most popular sport on this planet, minus India and China, will never be a complete thing. So China is already doing it. They may not be producing that world class or that cutting edge level of players, but they are doing it. I'm sure China, with the Chinese president himself, a football enthusiast, and the Chinese football federation, I think they are doing great thing to bring football as a mainstream sport in China. But we in India, there's no reason that we should lag behind. So every time I talk about sports culture in India, I think about football. There are many important sports in India which I cannot ignore. But football has to be one of the main pillars, because without football, the country the size of India will not be considered as a truly global sporting powerhouse. The football is something which we cannot afford to ignore. As I am repeating, we had the great tradition. Something happened. Maybe after mid-60s, something happened. But thanks to the players like Sunil Chhetri, they were able to reignite the interest amongst the youths. And along with Sunil Chhetri and Baichung Bhutia did a fantastic thing in igniting the football culture. He brought lots of people back into football, like Ian Vijayan. There are great footballers. And then, of course, we are having many more youngsters coming now. So, like today, if you go to Northeast or Bengal, football is still part of your normal way of life. Football is still, you live it. It's amazing. If Ronaldo, Messi comes to Calcutta, there will be riots. They come to Northeast, there will be riots. I mean, the craze is unbelievable still there. But we are not able to really augment that potential and put into our real policy matter, and to ensure that football becomes a great, football becomes the main sporting event of the country. That we will do. I'm very confident that we will be able to do it. And while you are discussing about various issues during your main panel discussion, I'm sure you will touch upon various technical aspects, various issues where we will have to go deeper. I'm sure after this event, I will also inform about what all you had discussed. And Nikhil Naz I'm sure will get best of the ideas, extract from all the people who are in the panel. I think this day-long whatever program you have, and I think I'm there for some time for a brief panel discussion. So more than that, because I don't want to talk about the technicalities, because the football experts are here, and many football legends are joining in this entire program. So they will talk about the technicalities and what else to be done. I just gave my broad intention, that my intention is clear, that football has to be a mainstay in thinking about making India a great sporting powerhouse. That is the basis of my way of putting across my intention. That is very clear. And thank you for inviting me. And Delhi, about the infrastructure which Prafulji addressed about. I'm definitely looking forward to discuss with the state governments and other people that how there should be dedicated football stadium in every major cities, in major locations in India, especially where there are potentials of having great football events. So I'll take it forward. That is in my mind, and I hope and looking forward for a great session, and my best wishes to everyone on this very important football event being organized online. It is a virtual, and looking forward to get back the same football spirit in Delhi city also. Thank you.
Right, Mr. Rijiju, thank you so much for that address. You summed up, the state that Indian football is at the moment and the steps that you would be taking. What I found really interesting was the scouting process that you'll have with multiple committees to go across the country and scout kids below 12 years of age. I know you have to leave, but maybe I'll have enough time for a question or two. We've got about 15 minutes on our panel discussion as things stand right now. One question that I had for you, because we're talking about Delhi football in particular, Delhi itself is in a complex web of, governance structure due to different agencies that run, here. How do you plan to tackle that? Because there are different municipalities there. There's no clear-cut policies to support local sports association. How can a sport association, let's say, for example, Delhi football, how can they limit with these limitations that they have, they can function well?
You're asking me?
Yes, yes.
Okay. See, about the administration, one thing which I am always very concerned about is we bog down in this administrative issues sometimes, and people started blaming. People normally tend to blame the federations or the people who run the sports bodies in deteriorating the level of the sports. My take is slightly different. I'm not really, looking into that management thing. I think as long as we concentrate on the quality training, imparting of all, those technical support, players will emerge, champions will produce, teams will come up. But when it comes to administrative issues, there are something which I cannot, really settle it. For example, in Delhi, the administrative issues which you raised about the municipal Delhi government, the LG, that if I speak about what is to be done, then it might just spin out of the context. But what I can do is I can talk to the Lieutenant Governor. Of course, Lieutenant Governor, we visit each other sometimes. Not in last 5 months, of course. We had talked about how to create better sporting infrastructure in Delhi, especially the football. I would like to talk to Delhi Chief Minister and Lieutenant Governor both. I will definitely advise both of them to come out with a tangible steps to create better infrastructure and to give better atmosphere, better ambience to have that football leagues and all other football events, so that the intention of Shaji Prabhakaran to bring back all glory into Delhi will fructify. I think we can do it. I will definitely look into what Nikhil has just said.
Okay, great. I'm sure that will bring a smile to Shaji's face listening to you, that you will speak to the concerned party. Just taking a suggestion that you had mentioned, Mr. Rijiju, and I'll take that to Mr. Patel. Him talking about having 5 different committees to take a look at, talent scouting. I believe AIFF already, was involved in some sort of talent scouting. I know that before the Under-17 Football World Cup, you did send your scouts across the country to look for players so that you could build on that team. How do you see this new step? Do you think this will be an addition to what you used to do already, or do you think it is something that was already done and tried and may not be of that much help? How do you view this?
No. As I said earlier, for the Under-17 World Cup, we did have a talent scouting all over the country, and it continues. It's not that it's not happening. But if Minister has suggested a more aggressive approach in terms of going right down to the last village forming 5 different zonal committees, and the government of India's full support, even the size support in terms of financially, then bringing these players and putting them in their side training facilities. I think it's a comprehensive proposal, and I think I welcome it. In fact, it's something which will add much more to our own efforts, existing efforts, and I think it's wonderful to hear this from him. And I think as soon as we are able to move forward on this, I'll be happy to sit with him and engage and take it meaningfully forward. Also, I'd just like to add, while I was speaking, I mentioned a few things.
Yeah.
I wanted to add one more thing, is that, you see, we have a lot of foreign players in all our clubs, which we allow. While we certainly, in all professional clubs have international players playing across the world and also in India, and they should continue. But we are trying to reduce the complement of international players as we go along, because what we are finding is, and Sunil will bear with me as a striker himself, that we don't have really many people playing the front line, forward line, who from our own country, and therefore in these clubs also. So we want to promote more and more of the front line players, the strikers, especially from our own country in the clubs, which will help us to also in the Indian national team. I'm sure Sunil will share his experience someday in his book. That all his efforts, while they have borne fruit, but it could have been much more better if he had at least 3 more Sunils along with him in the front line. So I think we are trying to reduce the number of foreign players as we go along, so that more Indian players will be playing in the forward line.
Right. I mean, that is something that we've seen in terms of your policy as far as the ISL clubs are concerned, or even at I-League, we've seen that AIFF has come up with new rules to ensure that there are more Indian participation. But because we have, Mr. Rijiju still with us, and maybe this is a point that Sunil could take forward. Sunil, one thing, because we're here talking about Delhi football, we all know your growth as a Delhi footballer. You went to a particular school, you changed school so that, you could be in a school that supported the sport as such, and that would allow you to play. One thing that's really changed in Delhi football over the years is the availability. I mean, Mr. Patel talks about a stadium, which is very well the need. But what about availability of grassroots level grounds, which are free and available to anyone to play? I mean, there are stories of, grounds in front of Red Fort and wherever you went around Delhi where you could just play. Today, a few play and pay sort of grounds do exist, but I find more and more kids in the city not getting access to those grounds because a lot of parks, people like to walk, they won't allow you to play. Is that a transition that you've seen over the years since when you were young and to now what has happened to Delhi in terms of availability of just free park, just take your ball and play sort of?
I think I've heard about these things. I haven't physically seen it. My coming back home, Delhi, is very seldom. I live in Bangalore now, but yes, I've heard about it, and it's not very conducive. If football has to grow in a city, the basic amenities of space where kids can play, and when I say kids, I don't just mean the best of under 12 or best of under 13s, because they will still get the ground. But for any kid to go and enjoy his or her game with the teammates is very, very important. But that's how interest develops. The more bigger pool it is, the more chances of getting the talented ones coming out is there. It's just simple maths. But what gives me hope, and I'm not just talking about Delhi, is the fact when, I know how much AIFF works hard on making sure the grassroots level is reached. And we heard our captain speak about AIFF is not going to be the lone fighter. It never can for 1.3 billion people. And just after 10 minutes, you hear the sports minister of the country saying that we're going to go aggressive and make these 5 zones, and we're going to work hard on identifying the talent. That, for me, personally, is the most important way of improving a country's standard. If we can identify all the talented kids in our country, and we are 1.3 billion plus people, if we can identify everyone who is 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and give him or her the right nourishment, the right infrastructure, the right food knowledge, the right sleep knowledge, we are going to go miles, miles, miles apart. The rate in which we're going to improve is going to be monumental. And I'm very happy that today, of course, when I was born a few years back, not 36 but few years back, when two leaders of our country who head football speak like this, because if this is done under the guideline, it is going to have a crazy change in football. All the small issues where there is no ground in Delhi, all these things are going to be rectified with this bigger plan. Where if every kid in our country is going to be identified and given the right nourishment and the right infrastructure, half problem solved. Because then whatever we achieve, wherever we land up, we can all raise our hands and say, this is what India has got the best. But right now, it's not. Right now, wherever the players are coming from, it's not enough. We haven't tapped in the whole talent pool. So basically, the statement of India not being there is not correct because we haven't searched the whole of country. But if with these programs, if we can find out every kid, the Lakshadweep, the Andaman Nicobar's, the interiors of Gujarat, somebody in Kashmir, anyone, if everyone, and if what sports minister said right now, and if it's followed, then we'll have the stats. Everything will be connected to everything. We all will know where the kids are. And then, trust me, we'll go leaps and bounds.
Well, that's very interesting.
I have a suggestion for Minister also, that Sai has many facilities across the country. You may not make every Sai facility the football facility as what we are thinking of. If you just make 5 facilities now in the 5 zones, one facility in each zone, to be a football-centric facility. Not only football, you can have other sports also, but that one facility will have everything what football needs. Then these kids which are scouted in those 5 regions can be put in that one facility and given the
True.
best of training, because we can't spread our resources thin. We have to give them then right from every possible aspect of football to be taught, to be administered, right from their nutrition to their mental conditioning to everything else, and the best of training. We get 5 centers that will really help us a lot. We are setting up the National Center of Excellence in Calcutta, but that will be for the national teams.
Yeah.
We are thinking of setting up a second center like the one we are building in Calcutta to be put up in Navi Mumbai also. The Maharashtra government yesterday only spoke to me about giving 19 acres of land in Navi Mumbai to be provided us free of cost. They will build the whole facility and we have to only run it. So if these kind of excellence centers come up across the country, and especially these 5 regions which the minister's vision is to have scouting, aggressive scouting along with us, I think we will have a good number of dedicated centers where we can impart very, very high level of training and education.
True.
And more importantly, Minister, and Chhetri would know, now all the clubs, especially the ISL and I-League clubs, some may be a little bit lagging behind, but some have really started building up very good, their own grassroots programs. You have the Reliance Young Champs Academy in Navi Mumbai, which is also doing very well. Many other clubs, including the ISL clubs, have got very good programs where they are doing a lot of work. So all I'm trying to say is that we need on your idea to build on that very aggressively in the shortest possible time.
Mr. Minister, are you there? Would you want to
about this talent scouting? We have to. It's in my mind to have 3 categories. See, for the extremely young boys and girls, let's say 6 years, 7 years, 8 years, 9 years, they will have to have that different kind of augmentation process. So we will have to have multiple academies or training centers for the young boys and girls, so that we can have in a small regional basis or each state wise, something like that. Then we will have some sub-juniors type, 12 years, 13 years. They can be zonal wise, see East India, North India, South India. But the senior ones, which Prafulji mentioned about, then that we'll have to have the Center of Excellence at the top level. We can't put everybody in the same category. So the process has to be at different level, and the base has to be big for the grassroots. So I'm also thinking that we will also provide some financial assistance to the state government and federation if they want to organize local leagues, local baby leagues, so that you really, get the right platform for that talent scouting at the grassroots. If you have that kind of leagues at the grassroots level, at the panchayat level, at the municipal level, at the young boys and girls, it's very attractive. No, it's lovely to see 7 years, 6 years boys and girls playing. It's cute also. Then that is how I think the baby leagues, you start it there in a large scale. And then from there you bring up. And some people will play football as a passion, but some group will become professional from there. So you have to, it's like, you study all the subjects till class 10, then you choose art, science, maths, then later on you take PhD. So right now we have to hit everyone at the grassroots level, and so that let everybody play. Then out of that you start picking up. Okay, you are fit, you are physical. Somebody may be, very interested, but physically not tuned to football. The reflection, body muscle strength, all these things, speed, stamina. So, it's better to train to the one who is best suited to become a great football player. There are national instinct also. So this natural instinct are something which is not gifted to everyone. So I think if we open up the door, then we will have that luxury to pick up the talents. My point is we have to go aggressively, and then of course at the national level, center of excellence in which state, which place, that will be decided along with the All India Football Federation and our SAI. But grassroots is something I am more aggressive about at this point of time.
All right.
Next week I'm in Delhi. I'll see you.
Yes, please come.
Nikhil, before Nikhil, can I say something?
Yeah, please.
It's turning out to be one of the best birthdays, man. I think Sir just said that they're going to meet next week. I have both their numbers. I'm going to spam them. I'm going to send them messages every now and then. Now I'm really excited.
Yes, please do.
You should. You're an important stakeholder, and very interesting to hear about baby leagues. I think AIFF already has baby leagues, but as the minister was saying, maybe the need of the hour is to really make it national, make it really big. But we also have, Tech Mahindra with us. They have a lot of innovations here. So Jagdish is with us. Jagdish, anyway, tech can play a role in, improving these scouting programs to get the best talent out of grassroots?
Thank you, Nikhil. I was just hearing this, and like Sunil was talking, it's been absolutely brilliant conversation. I haven't heard such a passionate minister. It almost seemed like Minister Riju would probably wear the boots and get down onto the field if you given him an option.
He does get down to the field. You should check his social media feed.
I will now. My point is, I think as for our country and for everything else that we do, when we obviously realize we need to leapfrog, we need to jump a few steps, because obviously European countries, some of the other markets that we talked about are ahead of us and they have years of advantage. Why we lost it, what happened is, I think, past, so it's no point talking about it. But in order to leapfrog, the only way out, Nikhil, and to the distinguished panel here, is technology. And I'm not trying to sort of say that because I come from a tech background. But imagine in today's world, in all the remote parts of the country that we are, and with even just with Delhi football discussion that Shaji started, today with the help of technology and telecom connectivity, we can do surgery. Tech Mahindra's technology, and there are many such technology companies which are enabling hospitals to do surgery. So the reason I'm asking that example is that if surgery can be done, I'm sure football talent scouting can easily be done using technology. And I'll give you examples of it. Today, with the help of 4G and now with the coming of 5G, which is one of the key things that technology will involve, imagine sitting where ministers himself comes from in a state like Arunachal Pradesh, or somewhere further down south in Kerala, or somewhere in where I come from in Bengal and Bihar, and some of those odd places where you don't have access to every stadium, but you have raw talent. If you remember, when we had hockey one of the days, Bihar and Jharkhand and Ranchi used to produce some of the best hockey talent because they were just good at it. Similarly, Bengal has great talent, Kerala has great talent, Goa has great talent, Punjab has great talent, and Northeast has great talent in football. They come naturally to them. But the idea of spotting them and then telling them, I love the idea of what Minister talked about in terms of 5 centers. But imagine your footballers and everyone sending you a clipping and the analytics that you can do of that clipping. You don't need everyone to be a coach. You can have a centralized team, almost like a monitoring center, which is dropping in content through video on your mobile phone. Watch this guy playing in some small town in Mizoram or playing in some small town in Kerala and send his clipping out. Imagine that talent spotting can be done for 1 billion people. I mean, I assume the age group, it's probably 200 million people. But I'm just talking about the ability for us to look at that talent is all driven through technology. You can then analyze whether the foot is moving in the right direction, whether the body is structured in the right direction. You can send coaching stuff to them all across from every aspect of digital technology. We are all, thanks to the government's initiatives over the past few years and before, the Jandhan, Aadhaar and mobile has now connected us across the biggest mobile population. You have the biggest, so for us as a country, you have to leapfrog. I'm telling this to you because from a Delhi perspective, me and a few friends run a small football foundation. It's called the Jishnu Mitra Foundation. I took help from Sunil Chhetri's father-in-law when I launched it in Calcutta. And I am actually doing that in Delhi today. We plan to launch it in other parts. And talent scouting and getting people together has been very, very difficult, very difficult. I work with an academy called the TSC. They come and help me, but getting a ground, get to them to do it has been so difficult. But now I use mobile. I use mobile for people to send me video clips of those technologies. And what people like Tech Mahindra can do is to enable the complete diet, coaching, football training, everything available through telecom connectivity. So
we take you to your word now that you will do something for us also.
Absolutely, sir. Absolutely. And you know, Mahindra has been a big supporter.
Now you'll have to walk the talk with us.
I'm all here. Like the minister said, we're all here to make sure this supports, because I think this has a big overall economic growth and a big development growth for our education and children. Very, very happy to support. I'm just suggesting that.
No. Can I ask you for one help? I'm intervening. It's a good thought, but how can you help us to design some kind of a centralized software?
Absolutely can. Absolutely.
Because then we can give it to the state units and we can send it down to, to the last, and that will help us in our efforts also, what we are thinking of.
That's exactly what I'm suggesting, Mr. Patel, that the ability we can, first of all, to answer your question, yes. That's a point blank yes, yes, we will, yes, we can. Today, we do a lot of work with the government on Niti Aayog and different things that we are doing, including stuff around Arogya Setu, etc. But this has a much bigger implication on the other stuff that we can do. And I feel that the leapfrog that you and the minister and Sunil and Shaji and Dato talked about can only be achieved through digital. You will not be able to send 2,000 coaches. I'm hoping you will be, but reality means that you will not be able to send 2,000 coaches. You're better off with almost imagine this AIFF office of yours and the state offices that you center of excellence that you're building in Bengal have this panel which has monitors almost like a network operating center, which keeps sending you videos. You're able to analyze every angle of a player. And that's today possible. And we can help you do that.
Thank you. We'll look forward.
Sure.
Great.
Can I take leave, Nikhil? I have a meeting.
Yes, please. So
Yes.
running out of time, you could, but I'll have the last word to Mr. John here. You've been listening to the conversation here, as Sunil mentioned that it was a great learning process. He's loving it. Could you give us an outside perspective of the thoughts that were just shared, and maybe certain other things that we could pick up, from some of the top Asian countries in terms of things that they may have implemented?
Thank you. I have another meeting, so I'm taking leave. Thank you so much.
Mr.
Dado, thank you, Kiran ji.
Thank you.
I'll see you next week.
Patel.
Thank you.
Thanks, Nikhil. When I heard Honorable Minister speak with so much passion, I thought he was the technical director of AIFF. He knows a lot of football. He knows what needs to be done. He knows, he's got a vision. So, Honorable Minister, I really appreciate your input in this, because you really know what to do and how the government can help to achieve what could not be achieved before. But I think basically when we see from outside, I think a strong government support is important. If anyone is saying that we don't need government support, then it's false, because we can see all over Asia, every member association, every sport, especially football, is strongly supported by the government. And I can tell you why Asia is favorite to FIFA to organize world-class events in Asia, simply because we have good government support in Asia. That's all. The passion is there and the good government. This is the first, And number two, infrastructure is key. If you want to host big events, top-class infrastructure. But if you are going down to the grassroots, they need opportunities plus also infrastructure. Now, this is important for the game to grow. And that's what you can see in many countries. They have the opportunity to send their kids somewhere close by, somewhere safe. And this is very important. I know in many countries they use schools because schools is naturally a very safe environment. But it could be clubs, it could be anywhere. But I think that's very important if we want to improve that base, so that we can scout good players. I agree with Jagdish that the future is technology. I mean, technology and digital will help us reach the unreached. You can only do so much with human face-to-face interaction. But if you look at today's best singers, if you go to the entertainment industry, many of the singers usually send their YouTube or they record it and send it to the recording companies. And that's where they get the first opportunity to be heard or to be seen, And football can also tap into this this new way of doing the new normal, so we call. And I think the next one I would say is, I think Sunil touched it earlier. I think having a good scouting structure is important, but more than that, what needs to go into the program? That's very important. Not only the nutrition, not only the I would say the tactical but I think very important. Who is going to scout the players? Don't send the wrong people to scout the players, because you will get wrong players. So you need to get the right people. And we say good coaches bring good players, but still make sure that you have a good team of people with good eyes to spot the players, because it's not only about techniques and skills, because this can be learned. But one of the most important is the football sense. Like Minister said, the instinct, so to say, but we say the football sense. And this is very important. Now, who's going to scout this? Who knows about football sense? Because if not, you will be selecting the wrong players and then realize that after a few years, we have wasted a lot of money on the wrong player, and the right player is left behind somewhere because he did not have the opportunity. So while you put all this structure in place, please do not forget, get the right people involved in the selection of the players. This is crucial so that we do not lose good players.
Right. Sunil, you wanted to add something?
I think it's so true, man. It's so true. I think, and again, this is just a positive platform. I don't want to say anything negative here, but this probably is one of the mistakes that we do in our country, and it is paramount. I think in my sport, I can say the coaching, the identifying is the main thing. If you don't identify and coach the right player, there is no, you're just trying to push a wall. Then it's very, very important. And the day we do it, and holistically, if our country does it, every kid who is good at any sport is identified and given the right coaching, we won't have to wait for gold medals in Olympics. We don't have to wait to do. I mean, Talent is not our problem. I think this is something that we all know here. And that is why it is killing our brains, is because we are 1.3 billion plus people. We are talented. We are versatile. You can have a tall guy. You can have a strong guy. You can have a high jumper. You can have a javelin thrower. You can have a footballer. You can have everything in our country. We have different landscapes. We have different gene pools. There is no problem in our country. We have everything. Not having a talent is not our problem. There can never be a problem. So that question comes really well, to have the right people to choose, to select, and to give the right thing. Otherwise, our sports minister saying that I'm going to go all out and do anything, and funds is not going to be a problem. Imagine last time we heard about this in football, that fund is not going to be a problem. If our sports minister, the main guy, says it, and then if still we can't do it, then the identifying and the right nourishment is the thing. So I just hope that when now we got the top guys of our country lining up to make sure that they give the right push, we get the right guys. And thank you so much, Mr. Vincent. Thank you so much. It's a very important point.
Yeah, I mean, there's a old adage in football, no coaching is better than bad coaching. So you'd rather not give a kid any coaching rather than give him bad coaching, because you'll ruin him for the rest of his life. But thanks so much for just as someone who was an observer in this session. This has been very enriching. As a former TV anchor, I've been part of many sessions where there's a lot of talk, but nothing really constructive comes out in the end. But this hasn't been one of those sessions. Plenty of constructive, thoughts have come out, and the exchange of ideas was really great to see between the head of All India Football Federation and our sports minister. So, we already overshot our time by 20 odd minutes, but the last word, Shaji, I'll give you if you want to thank the panelists who joined in, and how was this session. Maybe you be the best person to thank everyone who joined us.
Thank you, Nikhil. It's been a very enriching session. Thank you, Honorable Sports Minister Kiran Rijiju, for finding time and motivating us, encouraging us, and what you have shared with us. Really, it's like Sunil has summed up that it's a best birthday gift, and that's really sums up your contribution. And we can only go forward and do all that. And thank you for blessing us with all your time and encouragement. It's really we are blessed to have you as our sports minister, and looking forward to continue to interact with you. And because you have a vision, you have a dream, and we all would like to see India in the World Cup. And with your focus, with your energy and the resources, we will definitely reach there. And thank you once again for your time, and it's been a great inspiration. Sunil, you've been again wish you a wonderful day, and sparing this much time on your important day
it was worth
great
with what I heard. It was worth
encouragement for us. Thank you, Sunil. Vincent John, thank you for sparing this much time. You always been a great support to Indian football, and personally a great mentor to me. And I always look up to you. And what you have shared is only will inspire all of us to do better in what we do. And Jagdish, as you have really put the focus into the tech, what is the tech will do, and that's no doubt it's an integral part of the whole operation of anything today. And we have seen during the pandemic its importance, its significance, and I'm sure Tech Mahindra will play a huge role in transforming football in India. And thank you, and
thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you. At the last, Nikhil, you've been a great host. You could get the best out of everyone, and wish you a wonderful day. And again, thank you. And we have a great engaging day ahead. If you can spend some time and you can still listen to all our panelists who are joining from all over the world. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. It's cigarette, no?
What a wonderful session it was. And
the live streaming is done, stopped, right?
yeah, stop. And I just want to tell people that in case they want to engage, they can go to FT Summit 20 and they can take part in the trivia and rewatch the first session as well. Okay, great. And we will reconnect at what time, Aditya? Okay, in half an hour. Thank you.